So, something that I think is important to talk about is how reading too many of other people's opinions online can totally alter your perception of your own reality, and why it's important not to do that. The thing is, you kind of decide what things mean to you. So, you could be in this very limited state where you believe that everything is always going to go wrong. You believe that things are hard for you. They're that, oh, you can't do this or that because of XYZ. Example, my situation here, sorry, it's a little windy. My situation here, I'm in a location that many people told me I couldn't afford. I'm doing things that I shouldn't be able to do, and things are working out. Now, there are challenges, there are issues, there are things I need to resolve, and it's not going to happen instantly, always. Sometimes it will. But my hair is just crazy today, huh? Anyways, the point is, um, basically, if you choose that, hey, this is what I want to do, I'm going to go for it, I'm going to do it, come hell or high water, you're going to do it. It might take you a while. And I guess it's not guaranteed necessarily, but it's a lot more likely than if you were to look at it as from this limited space, this limited headspace where you say, oh, it's not possible, I can't do that because of this, that, and the other thing. And what happened to me was the moment I got here, well, about 4 to 6 days at most after I got here. I'm not exactly sure when it happened. I can't quite recall exactly how many days I got to enjoy being here before I got injured. And this was a dream of mine for years to come here. This was like a big ambition, and it was a huge lift because I had to do so much to get in a position where I could do it. It took me like a decade almost to get to where I could be here, but I just kept plugging away at it. Now I'm here, and it is working out. It's slow, it's a process, but it's happening. So I just kept plugging away at it. I just committed. I just said, I'm going to do this. This is really what I want to do. This is what matters to me. So I did it, and I'm here. And I'm really grateful for it, even though I immediately got injured and I was basically immediately bedridden. I still just kept believing, like, no, this is going to work out, though. And I basically had to spend, the original trip was 1 month to see if I could do it. And I basically had to spend that entire month in bed and then stay even longer in bed. Uh, Basically cancel my return trip because I couldn't get on a plane for very long. Couldn't sit in the seat of a plane. I had to actually, I had to come visit my cousin, but she's closer and it's easier. But that was a short flight, and I couldn't get on the big long flight to go back, which I was planning on going back because I thought, well, I have stuff I got to do. I have to get all my stuff back home sorted. And so my original plan was to go back. Even if I was going to stay here, I was going to go back. And that wasn't even possible. And so everything seemed to just crash and burn so fast if I perceived it that way. You know how I chose to see it was, well, I wanted to be stuck here. Now I am stuck here. Cool. you know? And it was like, what better place to be like bedridden, barely able to move, and struggling every day than my happy place. Literally the place I visualize anytime I'm stressed. Like, what better place to be happy than your happy place? And so it kept working that way for me. If I had chosen not to perceive it that way, it wouldn't have worked like that for me. I would have been stressed, I would have been sad, I would have been disappointed. And there were a few moments where I was like, man, this injury, because this injury is what, I'm a month and a week into this injury or something like that. It's crazy. It took a while. I mean, I know there are injuries where it can take longer, but today's the first day I feel human. Today's the first day I woke up basically with almost no pain. I remember just laying there a while, and I was like, whoa, I can just lay here? I'm like, I'm not in agony? Like, I'm not. Up to today, I was pretty much forced out of bed really early because I had to get moving, otherwise the pain would just be too much. Like, I pretty much would wake up in pain, and if I didn't get moving, the pain would just get worse and worse. And so I had to just jump out of bed right away and just start like walking and forcing myself to move because it was the only thing that cooled the pain off. And I would take all kinds of meds and stuff. And it was even a struggle to just like sift through the bag that has, I take like ibuprofen and stuff, and I have like supplements I take to help me out. And just that stuff, just taking all that stuff, like taking it, just getting it out of the bag, putting the pills on the table or in my hand and swallowing them. That was a struggle because I was in that much pain. And I had moments where I was real depressed, but I never gave up on the overarching dream. I was like, if I die here, I'm just gonna die here, straight up. It's like I would rather die here still than go home. But I got stuck here unintentionally. My plan was to move here gracefully, and instead I got stuck here. And so the way that I look at that is basically reality is completely what you make of it. You don't have to accept somebody else's interpretation of the facts. You can totally be in a position where something bad happens to you and you decide, yeah, but I'm going to look at this in a positive light. And you can do that. And if I were to accept what other people told me about my limitations and what other people said online or whatever about, how feasible this idea is, I wouldn't have done it. I would have just given up and I don't know, I guess I'd be going home like today or something, and I'd be like, as soon as I'm healed, I'm going home or something. I don't know. There isn't even like a good strategy for giving up. Like it's easier not to give up in my case. And I think that honestly just has to do with momentum. Like I set things up in a way where it would be easier to succeed than to fail. And it's not perfect. I fell behind. I have to now sit and find ways to make a bunch of money all of a sudden because I have a bunch of bills to pay and I didn't really make any money for a month and a half. I still have to manage my health. I still need to fly back to my new home. I'm like have just the slightest bit of uncertainty about whether that home is even going to be in there because I trusted someone I don't know that well to basically set it up for me. I think they're trustworthy and it should be fine. But, all these things, right? Like all this potential struggle, all this like could be stress. But I just choose not to be stressed about it because ultimately, if that doesn't work out, I'll find another situation that will. And I'm going to make this happen. And so many people said, when I wanted to do this, that like, one of the things they said is either it's for you or it isn't, And I think one of the things is about this is that it is aligned with what I want my life to be. It's in alignment with what my soul, needs. And so I think that helps a lot when you have an ambition. So I guess what I'm getting at is don't let other people's perception alter your perception to the extent that you think you can't do something. That it's outside of your reach, because if you just try and you make little steps, and it's all been little steps for me. Like I said, it took like a decade. Some people could do this overnight. But what's funny is I think a lot of those people would come here and go, I don't like this. But for me, it's like, nah, man, I built up for a decade to make this happen. This is me living my best life right now. I am thrilled. Even after a month of being stuck in bed, struggling, I am still thrilled. Couldn't be happier because I know like I'm in the place I always wanted to be, doing exactly what I wanted to do. And it's gonna be better, I think, than even that, because this is just the start, right? I have so much space to build up from here. So, go after your dream and don't let people tell you can't do it, because that's just like it's this weird internalized like slavery complex that people get where there's social pressures that are designed, I think, to keep people in their place, maybe, or maybe it's not even intentional. Maybe it's just like a herd mentality thing. But people will tell us, oh, don't do this, don't do that, you can't. And, if you hear enough of that kind of messaging, you start to believe it. And it's all over the internet, especially. Well, even any kind of media is like, wants you to be afraid, wants you to feel like you're vulnerable, wants you to feel like you're lacking, wants you to feel like somebody else has more than you do, and if you don't have what they have, you can't succeed. or you're not successful. It's all BS. It's all up to you. It's in here mostly. Like 80% of what we experience in this life is in our minds. It's not in it's not out there. And certainly other people's perceptions of reality are not accurate enough to base your reality upon them. There's sometimes people have good advice, but most of the time, honestly, at least in my experiences through life, they don't really know, because they don't know you. They don't know what you're capable of. They don't know your unique desires, your unique needs, what appeals to you, what charges you up, what gives you energy. And without knowing that comprehensive picture, they really can't give you accurate advice. Most people can't. And something I've been saying for a while now is, honestly, worst case scenario, we die. Like, straight up. I mean, our lives are pretty short here, and eventually we all die. So it's like, why concern yourself so much with whether you're doing something up to somebody else's standards, or whether you're fitting someone else's definition of success, parents, community, whatever. Just go for what you need to do, and this is probably a very Western way of thinking. I imagine people in a more collective society would be like, ew. But I mean, even that, to me, being as successful as you can benefits the collective too, because you have more to contribute. You have more to bring to the table. I was not my full self where I was. It wasn't benefiting me to stay there, and everyone wanted me to stay there. It seemed like, or at least they tried to convince me to stay there. A few people encouraged me, just a few, but most people said, I even heard things like, you're gonna have to probably give up on that dream and choose something else. And it was like, as I'm like right on the precipice of it, and just, no, I just kept going, and eventually I made it. And yeah, I'm still like, I'm not established. I'm not like it's not fully working for me yet, but I'm so close to that. And it's so like doable and tangible. And I don't understand why I wouldn't, like what, just so I can acquire things or something to make somebody else happy? Like, why would I do that? What's the value in, neglecting my purpose, neglecting what's in alignment for me? Because the thing about it too is, people say like, if you do what you love, you won't work a day in your life. And there's all kinds of other cliches like that are pretty meaningless. But it's important to, I think, expand upon that a little if you're someone like me. Because when I hear that, I'm like, yeah, but how do I act on that? How do I do the work that is in alignment with what I want to do, right? That's the hard part. Not so much, conceptually, yeah, if you're doing what you love, of course you don't feel like you're working, but how do you find what it is that you can do to make your life work while also, enjoying it, like ticking on the boxes? How do you do that? Well, the answer is, and this is hard, it takes some soul searching, it takes meditation, it takes mindfulness, it takes an awareness and knowing yourself, it takes knowing what matters to you. If there are outside influences like your family or whatever, it takes knowing that that's valuable to you. It all comes down to you, and then where do you reach out, what's important, and then from there, expanding upon that, going, okay, what will bring me so much joy and energy that I will succeed in my own definition of success based upon what's important to me. And once you find that thing, it's just going to be like, because you really don't, I would say don't prioritize your limitations. That's like looking at the price as a determining factor as to whether or not you're going to do or buy something or whatever. Don't start with price. Put that closer to the bottom of your priority list. Start with, and I know it's hard because like I don't have a lot of money, so I get it, and it's like buying the one option I have money for now and buying the other option I have to wait a while or finance it or whatever, do some nonsense. And of course those come with all kinds of other considerations like, do you need the thing right now, and all this stuff. It's important not to be in a panic situation and then do things out of emergency necessity route, better to kind of plan ahead a little bit and try to get into the space where you're planning ahead, and that might be part of your journey, is have a little bit of space between, when things come in and when they go out. But what I've found, that's loud. What I've found is that once I sort of fell into the train track of alignment, it's like you can't lose once you get there. It might take a little while, it might be a bit of a process, but once you kind of lock in to where you're supposed to be and doing what you're supposed to do, it kind of builds on itself pretty quick. You get more and more momentum over time, and it gets easier. And so, for me, this process, a lot of things have worked out that just should not have, from like a rational. I'm going to give that helicopter just a second. It's really loud. Helicopters. Am I right? All right. Probably a tour helicopter. All right. Anyway, if you get locked into the train track of alignment with your purpose, you find that like things that shouldn't work out do, if you just like really stick to it and you stay focused. Keep your eye on the prize, as they say. And now, of course, you have to still handle things. You have to do what you're supposed to do, maintain things, all that. But there are ways to do that while focusing on your goal, your dream, your vision. Have a plan, of course, and have contingencies where you're willing to pace yourself just enough so that you can still take care of the minimum necessities that you're obligated to take care of to stay alive or keep your family alive or whatever it is. But you can totally, you're allowed to chase your dream. Just because you have obligations and stuff doesn't mean you're not allowed to chase your dream. You can do both. So that's, I guess, my primary message. You can still chase your dream. Don't give up. And definitely don't let some idiot on Reddit tell you that, oh, they're this and that, really intelligent, smarter than you, and they know you can't do it, because they don't know you. Neither do your parents. Neither does anyone, really. Most people don't know you. You're the only person who really knows you. If you're really, really lucky, you have a partner who really knows you. But even, it's like anyone outside of you is not going to fully comprehend what's deep inside, the well of inspiration you can draw upon if you're just doing what you feel you're meant to do. So anyway, hopefully that helps somebody out there in the world.